Today is the demo session for the DataSphere, and thank you all for the joining. Okay, so let's start with the content. So the first point here is the what is SAP DataSphere. Okay, so what is DataSphere? Here in most of the slides I given the content in detailed manner, so that later point, if anytime if you are looking into this video, you can easily read it out and then you can understand what is the exactly it means. So what is DataSphere? DataSphere is a unified data management and data fabric solution from SAP. So mainly DataSphere is a product which provides a unified data management. Means the main thing is it provide, it can connect the SAP and non-SAP systems. Okay. So, for example, if any one of you here are not from the SAP background at all, then I have separate V2 videos I will upload today in my playlist in my YouTube channel. So where I given brief introduction about SAP and what is SAP, what are the products it is having, all information is available, so you can go through from it. So when in this demo session, I feel like you people are already having some overview about SAP. Okay. So coming back to here, SAP DataSphere is a unified data management and data fabric solution from SAP that provides seamless real-time access for data across SAP and non-SAP systems without the need to move or replicate all the data. So this DataSphere is a cloud tool. First of all, it is a cloud platform, a cloud tool, which brings data from SAP and non-SAP systems, and it is providing a flexibility to replicate data at a real time and do reporting on top of it. So this DataSphere is not a reporting tool; it's a modeling tool. First of all, okay, na? So for reporting, we are using SAC on top of DataSphere. Okay, so it enables organizations to connect, discover, model, govern, and consume data from various sources, helping business and IT teams to make decisions. It means, so using DataSphere, we can connect many or whichever SAP products are there, like Ariba, like procurement, S4HANA, ERP. So any SAP source system is there, we can connect. SAP provided almost 30 different, 30 plus different kind of connections to connect to this DataSphere. So from all those places, you can bring data into DataSphere. You can place all data at one place, and you can do modeling on top of it. And finally, you can create your dashboards using these models. Okay, so coming to the SAP DataSphere architecture, if you see in this architecture, the bottom layer is the connectivity. So it starts with connectivity, so we can connect to the SAP applications as well as the external sources. Okay, so when coming to after connectivity is established, then what we do, then we federate the data. So the data federation, data replication is the next step. It means that we are extracting our real-time replicating data from the source systems. If the data is small, then we can do the federation, which is a live access we can do. If the data volumes are too huge, then in such cases we use the data replication and we store the data within the DataSphere. So this is DataSphere. What if it is a cloud tool, right? So what is the database for this one? We are using HANA database. Okay, we are using HANA database as a database for this DataSphere. Not only HANA, we can have other components also, which will be discussed. So if you see here, HANA Cloud and Data Lake. So both are Data Lake is an optional. The main one is HANA Cloud, which is in-memory database, and apart from it, we have HANA Data Lake also available for the data storage purpose in the DataSphere. So after connectivity, so data will be federated and replicated into the DataSphere, and once the data is available, then we perform the transformations. So SAP provided different models like graphical views, SQL views, the data flows and all different kind of by performing different business operations and all, we can model that data, and finally we derive the business data set. So, and this business data set, we can by using the semantic onboarding, like we can differentiate the master data, transactional data, and hierarchies, and different kind of hierarchies here. All these can be able to achieve in the DataSphere. So semantic onboarding is mainly talking about how you are differentiating your data set based upon the semantic tags. And then, so it can be, for example, if you take a table that a table or graphical view that can be created as a master data dimension, or it can be created as a transactional fact data, or it can be created as an analytical model, or it can be a relational data set, which is a plain table. So all those options will be coming using the semantic onboarding. And the space management. So when we are doing the federation or data replication, or after, what we are doing, we are extracting data into DataSphere. So in the DataSphere, so what happen is the space we are splitting in the form of spaces. It means, for example, if we have a hard disk, then we generally do partitions in hard disk to store different kind of data. Similarly, the database, what is there we are having for DataSphere, we will split into multiple spaces. So what is the use of splitting into multiple spaces? We can administrate each space separately by giving authorizations to certain users only. For example, we can create a separate space for sales. So we can create a separate space for finance department, so that finance department doesn't have access to the sales data, and sales people doesn't have access to the finance data. Like that, we by using space we can administrate, we can provide securities to our data set. And at the same time, for example, if there is a common data like master data, then we can share between spaces as well. And the next part is the administration and security. So in this one, what we are doing, as I said, like we can administration means dividing data into multiple spaces, and then we can create authorizations and all we can do on top of it by we can provide row level authorization as well in DataSphere. Okay, and then data and business modeling means in DataSphere we have two components. One is data builder, business builder. Data builder is mainly for used for the IT department, and business builder is the business operations. So we are this data and business modeling is there, right? So it is talking about those two categories. Cataloging is nothing but it is kind of an option to navigate to our entire data set. Using catalog we can easily identify the objects in our data sphere. And data marketplace means we can already SAP is giving some predefined some reports, so you can install those from the marketplace, or you can buy it from the partner providers. So this is all about the different components as part of architecture. And what one more thing is here on the left hand side, you see BW Bridge. What exactly it means? For example, if the client is already having B4HANA and he wants to bring the data into DataSphere, then BW Bridge, using the BW Bridge, he can from on-premise he can attach it to the DataSphere as one of the space. Okay, that's why here BW Bridge also part of the DataSphere. So it is part of DataSphere as a separate space, so that all the BW data is available under this space, and you can share this data with our other spaces to perform further modeling. On the right hand side, if I see the CLI and API, CLI is nothing but the command line interface. Actually, this is used for the admin tools. It is one of the kind of admin tool or developers from where they can interact with our database directly and perform different activities. And APIs are nothing but we have different APIs which can interact with our DataSphere for performing different kind of operations. Okay, and open ecosystem. So what is this open data ecosystems means? Once data is coming to DataSphere, so from DataSphere we can either like we can bring data into DataSphere from different sources like Google Data, Confluent, Databricks. All these can be connected to DataSphere. At the same time, once data is in DataSphere, whatever modeled data is there, that data we can send again back to these further partner solutions. Like that, SAP making this DataSphere as an as a data fabric and an ecosystem data fabric which can process the data and which can send data to the partner solutions also. Okay, so this is and once data is modeled, then this whatever data we are doing modeling, that is using as a base for our SAC Analytics Cloud reporting. So you can consume this data for the SAC for the reporting dashboarding purpose, and you can plan on top of this data in the SAC. Okay, and we can at the same time we can connect our DataSphere to external consumptions like Power BI and all those tablet kind of tools to the views which are creating, those can be consumed there as well. And this is all about the SAP DataSphere architecture. So coming to the next one, the history. Is this DataSphere very new into the our market, or is it there from the past? Means yeah, it is there from the past. It is almost there from the 2019 itself. So this SAP DataSphere is from the traditional BW. BW is a modeling tool, right? Even DataSphere is also a modeling tool. Then what is the difference between the BW and Data Warehouse Cloud or a DataSphere? So this Data Warehouse Cloud is the former name of this DataSphere. It was changed, to DataSphere to the 2023. So here I written this one, Data Warehouse Cloud rebranded and expanded as a DataSphere. Okay, so now what is the difference between the BW to DVC? BW can be it is an on-premise product, and there we always load the data from multiple sources and we model the data. So means first we need to extract the data from sources into BW and then we can perform the modeling there. But in the Data Warehouse Cloud, SAP is providing an option to federate it. You can live access the data from sources and do modeling in the there. It means without replication also you can perform your modeling activity on top of the data and you can use it in your reporting tools. Okay, so then here in 1998 SAP came up with the BW, and then 2016 it it's moved from BW to B4 HANA using HANA based analytics, and from 2019 it introduced the Data Warehouse Cloud, and in 2023 it rebranded Data Warehouse Cloud to DataSphere, and because it is because why it is rebranded means it brought multiple features into the DataSphere. Okay, so combining with other partner solutions, which makes it more thing. So key features introduced with the DataSphere. So in 2023, when it is rebranded to DataSphere, what are the key features it integrates? Means integration with Snowflake, Databricks, Google BigQuery. So all these can be integrated with DataSphere. Means via replication flows, we can send data into that, and we can bring data also from different sources into the DataSphere. Okay, enhanced semantic modeling and data governance. Just not when data comes into DataSphere, it is not just a normal table. We can make it as a master data, dimensional and transactional data, and we can create hierarchies and all on top of it. Tighter integration with SAP BTP and SAP Analytics Cloud. So this SAP DataSphere licensing, it is actually a product under the BTP. So, and also it is a tight integration. So whatever connectivity we are performing to DataSphere, it comes via BTP only. Okay, and the SAP DataSphere is tightly integrated to Analytics Cloud. So the models you create in DataSphere can be readily consumable in SAC without any connectivity and all. Okay, and support for multi-cloud and hybrid landscapes. So next one. So using this one, what we can do, because SAC is tightly integrated with this DataSphere, without copying data itself, we can directly do the reporting in SAC side. So why SAP calls DataSphere as a business data fabric? So this is generally a question, right? Whenever we say DataSphere, we call it as a business data fabric. So we need to understand what exactly it is business data fabric means. So I given some points here for understanding point of view. So unified access. Okay, no more silos. Actually, what exactly it means, SAP is having different products like S4HANA, SuccessFactors, Salesforce, Snowflake, Databricks, not Snowflake and Databricks, but SAP is having different products, and also we are having different non-SAP products as well. So a client may use many of these products. For example, SAP, for any client of SAP, they definitely have S4HANA system, and whenever they want to use the SuccessFactors separately, they will buy the SuccessFactors license and they do operations on it. And if they have this Ariba, they will use the Ariba system separately. So data of the client is splitted between multiple products, right? Now what happens using this DataSphere, we can bring all this data together into one single place, and we can do reporting on top of it. By combining this data, we can bring all data together, and we can bring out of some of the important KPIs out of it. slow. So and when bringing data into one unified one's place into DataSphere, we no need to replicate and store data in the DataSphere. So we can at runtime also, using the data federation mechanism, at a runtime also we can bring data from those products into DataSphere and do our modeling there. So use federation replication integration to access data without always moving it. And then the second point is preserved business context, semantics, unlike raw data lakes. So generally in a in BW also, what happens in BW, we have the different master data dimensions, master data is there, and then transaction data we separately, hierarchies are there, text master data is there. So we are not keeping the data just like a table. It's not rows and columns only, but on top of it, we are adding a meaning. Customer master data, it means which doesn't change too much, but having information about customers. When coming to transactional data, in the transactional data, whenever a customer information is there, for using that customer information, we can bring all the customer related information also into the reporting side. So it's not just a data set, but we are adding extra meaning to it by using different semantics, right? Here also in DataSphere, using different semantics, we can add meaning to the data set. Makes data understandable for business users, not just technical users. Okay, and open ecosystem through partners with hyperscaler Azure. So I have hyperscalers means AWS, Azure, GCP, and tools like Collabora, Databricks, and Confluent. DataSphere extends beyond SAP. So it is not a purely SAP. Yeah, even though it is an SAP product, it is not only binded only with SAP products, it is collaborating with the non-SAP products also using hyperscalers and all. So it extends. So based upon the client requirements, it can be used. Governance and security means a built-in catalog, lineage, and role-based ensure. So in any analytics tool, the authorizations and security is very important. So when we bring all data together into one place, how secure DataSphere is also very important, because I am bringing all different data into one place. So whoever is having access to the DataSphere reports using SSE, they are not supposed to see all the data. So the persons from different departments, they must have access to their department data only, even though DataSphere is holding all departments data, but it must not be exposed to all users at a time. So based upon the user privileges, we need to show their data set, right? So all such can be done using DataSphere, using the role-based authorizations and all. So why do we need DataSphere means, as I said, explained earlier, so to bring all data together into, so in today's world, data is spread across many places, SAP ERP like finance, supply chain and everything, CRM, spreadsheets, cloud apps. So to bring all data into one place, we need DataSphere. So bringing DataSphere, what exactly it is doing it, it is integrating, modeling and transforming, governing and sharing. So all these are able to possible using the DataSphere tool. So any questions so far? Okay, so continuing further.
No.
Yeah.
Later we'll.
Okay. Yeah. So key capabilities of SAP DataSphere. So what are the key capabilities? Data integration, as said in the earlier session, data integration means connecting the data from SAP and non-SAP. Okay, cloud and on-premise. It means that even though DataSphere is a cloud tool, it can bring data from on-premise data sources also, and also from the cloud data sources, like combining data from S4HANA orders plus Salesforce is an example for it. So data modeling and transformation. So as said, like using semantic models, we can model the data, whatever raw data we are extracting from S4HANA or different sources, we can bring the data into a proper semantic format, which is more understandable for the customers. Okay, and data governance and security also, like once data is there, we can able to handle the data by applying the row level authorizations, and also by by splitting the data into different spaces and giving access to these spaces only for the relevant department of people, so we can easily handle the data set governance. Okay, so for example, for this finance data is only visible to finance users, but not any other people. Data sharing, share live business context rich data across departments or with external partners. So it means even though we have different departments, for example, for different departments, if we create different spaces, still if we want to share some data with another department using sharing access, we can share it. So we are not binded to. It is possible, I can say. Yeah. Integration with SAP Analytics Cloud. So it is tightly integrated with SAC. So the models which are there in DataSphere and which are analytical models, especially analytical models, can be ready-madely consumed by SAC tool. It's a reporting tool which is used to create dashboards and planning also we can do in the SAC. So SAP DataSphere was old SAP tools. So it's just a comparison for understanding point of view. So BW4, as I said, like B4 HANA is more focused on the structured and central storage. Means by using data sources and everything, we are loading data into B4 HANA and then we are doing modeling on top of it. But using DataSphere, cloud native, open, flexible, integrates data without heavy duplication. So you no need to duplicate. When it comes to B4 HANA, we always create, multiple layers like, LSA++ architecture is there. So where we initially store data and then we do another, report for modeling and all, right? So all such will happen in BW, but in DataSphere by creating graphical views and data flows, you can, we try mostly don't duplicate the data at, duplicate the data in DataSphere. So coming to the hyperscalers. So in the architecture, we see, right, different hyperscalers we are using for the DataSphere. So what exactly is the hyperscaler means? So SAP manages the application layer, DataSphere, BTP services. The hyperscaler provides the infrastructure layer, compute, storage, and networking. So the global hyperscalers are mainly the Microsoft, Microsoft, AWS, and Google. These are the three different, global hyperscalers currently this DataSphere is using. So now what Microsoft Azure here. So what exactly these hyperscalers are providing? It is providing the infrastructure layer, means compute, storage, and networking. So it is providing the hardware, to run this DataSphere product. So what is hyperscaler? Hyperscaler is a big cloud provider that offers computing, storage, and networking at a very large scale. Means large data sets can be processed here. So examples are these three, which I told you already. So they're called hyperscaler because they can scale resources up and down instantly depending on the demand, like a tap that can give you 1 glass of water or fill an entire swimming pool. What exactly? It's an example to understand in easy way. But if you see here, hyperscalers are mainly here for whenever we are using the DataSphere, when we are doing some computation, generally what happens is in a BW world, in ABAP world, whenever a program is executing, SAP's system provides some memory to the program. So what will happen if the program, when at the time of execution of that program, if the memory consumption is more than the allocated memory, the program will fail. There is no other option. So whenever the allocated memory is not enough for a program to run, it needs more memory, means it is failing, right? But in here using in that by using this hyperscalers and all, what will happen is when we select this one, by using elastic units and all, whenever this kind of operation is happening, it automatically expands its memory, and whenever it is the work is done, automatically it come back to the original state. So initially it will allocate some memory in the cloud side, so in the hyperscaler side, and whenever the memory is not enough for the program to execute, automatically it will increase the memory and it will perform the workload and whatever necessary required supposed to be done. And once it is done, it will come back to the allocated size. So this is all can be possible in the hyperscalers integration. So this part I will cover again in our estimator as well. And using this cloud, so using this cloud hyperscalers, what is the next thing is global reach. What exactly is the global reach here? Customers can choose the nearest location. So these are available in multiple locations throughout the world. So whichever client, for example, the clients working from the Germany, so they can use the nearest data center. Okay, the ones who are working from the US clients, not working the client. If the client is from the US, they will take the US as the data center. So customers can choose the nearest location. Okay, and helps with performance and data residency loss. So what will happen is, because it's a cloud product via internet, so without internet we cannot do anything here. So what will happen is, whenever a request is happening, you see availability zones region, one or more data centers. So from the data center it has to come, right, using fibers and all. So that's the reason. That is the reason we need customers will always choose the nearest data center when they're taking the DataSphere. And scalability. So what exactly is the scalability? If your data grows from 1 terabyte to 100 terabytes, hyperscale infrastructure can scale seamlessly. Generally, what happens if you take a traditional on-premise databases, whenever clients reach its thresholds of their database, they need to buy a new hardware to attach to it, right? But when coming to this hyperscaler, so what we can, by simple clicks itself, you can expand your storage capacity, by changing your plan. So it is just for example, if you take a mobile phone, if you take a iCloud app from your iPhone, so if you are using 1 terabyte, and if it is not sufficient, simply by changing the plan, you are going to 2 terabyte. It doesn't, it costs more, but it's a seamless effect, I can say. Okay, and then integration with non-SAP workloads. So many companies already use AWS. So many companies already use AWS, Azure, GCP for data lakes, AI. Running DataSphere on same hyperscaler makes integration easier. Means if a client is already, using different non-SAP cloud platforms, and now DataSphere are also available to them, then they can easily integrate between their data sets. Resilience and security means hyperscalers bring high availability, backup, disaster recovery, and compliance standards. It means so you no need to worry about your your data, because this hyperscalers itself, they itself will take care of your data. Which means they provide security, and any disaster recovery is there, they will have the backups and everything. So we no need to worry about our data. For example, if you have our laptop and hard disk, at any point of time, if our laptop hard disk got corrupted, then we lost our data. So we have some recovery methods to do it, but it is a different case. But generally, it is kind of a loss of data. But if the data is in the cloud and some other, then in the cloud side, what they will do, they always have frequent backups and all. So it is kind of a secured, okay, and data. Next. So key takeaway from this hyperscalers is like it's a hyperscaler is nothing but a giant cloud provider like AWS, Microsoft One, Azure, GCP, where SAP hosts DataSphere. You don't see or manage the hyperscaler directly. SAP does it for you, and your company just choose the preferred cloud provider. So from where exactly it is doing is, I will show you in the cost estimator is one of the column, one of the option where we choose our hyperscaler. Okay, na? In some time I will come to that screen. Now, so far we discussed about the DataSphere, but whenever we are talking about DataSphere, now currently SAP BDC is trend in the market. So everyone is talking about BDC only. So just understand what is BDC and what is the difference between the DataSphere and BDC exactly. Okay, na? So BDC is a fully managed SaaS solution, means software as a solution that unifies and governs all SAP data and also connects to non-SAP. So like what DataSphere is doing, the same is explained for the BDC as well. So same kind of explanation they given for the BDC, because DataSphere is a product under the BDC. Okay, now if you see the data BDC architecture, if the DataSphere is sitting inside the BDC, means whatever we say for BDC, all that can be applied for the what we say for the DataSphere, all those terminology, all those words can be applied for the even for the BDC as well. But what is the difference means it is adding some extra. So apart from DataSphere, in the architecture diagram, if you see on the left hand side, you see something, right hand side Databricks is there, other products, some other extra functionalities are coming using the BDC. But but DataSphere is also part of BDC. That is you want to understand. So what happens? It provides pre-curated data products for business domains like finance, supply. So what happens? SAP design products, what custom data products and SAP managed data products. So using BDC, one of the advantage using BDC is SAP designed some data products. So one simple example, what I can say is buying a software to, for example, buying a software like a Java. It's not like, let's take Java as a software. So if you have a Java software with you, then you can create your web page and everything on your own by using this Java tool. But if the if the person, they're creating a website and giving it to you using Java as a backend tool, then what will happen? Then the client can ready-madely use that web application. So he no need to spend any time in creating that web application from scratch. So in the same way, here what is happening, SAP DataSphere is a product. So where it is having different options to model your data using business logics and everything. But this SAP already studied all the different businesses from very past. So it is very matured, product, we can say, using S4HANA and all. Now what SAP is doing, so because of his, existing knowledge and all, SAP creating already a predefined products, so which can be used by users ready-madely across industries. So if you take any industry, based upon industry products, they are creating it, they are giving as a part of a BDC. So, and these are called data products. We call it as the data products. And for example, if you want to change and do changes to your data product, then you can copy it and you can do your customization on top of it. That is called custom data products. It comes into a thing. But this SAP data products will be, if there are any changes done by SAP, then those will be mainly happen on the SAP managed data products only. So using the BDC, SAP is giving predefined data products which can be ready-madely available for any user. So if the client is so far doesn't have any reporting tool, we're using SAP and they're always using the other tools for reporting. Now if they buy the BDC, the benefit what they are getting is they are bringing their data into cloud, so they can whatever data they have from different cloud solutions or different on-premise solutions, they can all bring data into one place and they can ready-madely connect to their SAP managed products to do their reporting, and on top of it, using DataSphere, they can also do their own modeling kind of thing. And in whatever is not there in DataSphere is AI/ML capability. So generally nowadays AI is the first thing coming in everyone place, right? So DataSphere itself, it doesn't have any AI capabilities, but when it comes to BDC, using Databricks and all, it is providing the AI/ML capabilities for the dataset. So this is extra coming with the DataSphere, so BDC license. And also what else here, we have LOB source system is there, line of business here, SAP customized SAP managed source systems and customer managed source systems. Okay, na? So what is happening is here, these are on-premise source systems, these are all the cloud source systems mainly, we can say. Okay, and also we can bring data from the non-SAP, because all these are already we discussed as part of DataSphere. Because DataSphere is a part of BDC, so all will become into it as well. Yeah. Key characteristics of SAP BDC, federated access. It means connects data from S4HANA, DataSphere, and to external data platforms like Databricks, BigQuery, Snowflakes. All those can be we can federate the data. Zero copy architecture, so allow access to SAP data from external clouds without physically moving or duplicating it. So when we connect our connections to the DataSphere, as I said, like we can federate the data virtually without copying data into the HANA database, so which saves some data, memory and all. Maintains a business context. So what exactly it means? Preserves metadata like hierarchy, semantic, security. So you see, these are already discussed as part of DataSphere as well. Open and interoperable means built on SAP DataSphere as its foundation, but extends beyond it to create an open data ecosystem. So for example, if you see this picture here, so we have data is coming from different products, on-premise solutions into our BDC. So when data coming into BDC, you see data products in BDC, data products are the major given by SAP, and you can create on top of it separate models also from your side. And then as part of business data fabric, you have DataSphere, which can connect to all these sources and you can do modeling here. And also data products also will be installed on the DataSphere to extract data from the sources. On top of DataSphere, you have SAC, which can be used as your reporting tool, and business warehouse. In BDC, you can bring BW as well as a you can bring BW into DataSphere as a using BW Bridge, or you can bring BW into BDC as a private using private cloud, so which can be directly available connected to DataSphere for the further modeling, and it is connected to Databricks also for the AML kind of operations. Now on top of it, now anyone can connect to this BDC to do further reporting and all. Okay, yeah, that's all I can explain. So think of SAP BDC as a bridge between SAP data and the open data world, enabling trusted and data sharing and analytics across platforms. So now let's see a small differences between the DataSphere and BDC in terms of different characteristics. So DataSphere is a modeling tool mainly. Okay, na? So BDC is a software as solution offering a DataSphere plus components plus business data products, intelligent apps, AML. So it's a combination of multiple products. Stack analytics stack for SAP data plus non-SAP data. Yeah. So it's a combination of multiple products, I can say. Scope and components. So SAP DataSphere focuses on integrating, modeling, and managing data. So mainly it is connecting to different sources, extracting data or federating data from those and model the data. And then once we have the model data available in DataSphere, then what we can do, we can use the data in the SAC for reporting purpose. Now what is BDC now? Encompasses data products, intelligence applications, AML, and BW moderation, planning, analytics, Databricks user. We can, by using all the different products, we can perform. So by using the DataSphere, I can model the data. Using SSE, I can do the dashboarding. Using AML, Databricks, and all, I can perform the AML operations. So all these are possible within the BDC. When coming to the licensing part, I will cover in coming slides. But what happened is DataSphere as a separate product, BDC as a separate product. If you take BDC as a product, then it comes with all the DataSphere, SAC and SAC and what else will come with the Databricks and all will be part of your BDC product. But when you take DataSphere, it's only DataSphere as a product, so which you connect and do the modeling part. So that is the scope here. So we cannot exactly compare both because DataSphere is always a subset of BDC, but we must better to have some differences here. Okay, na? Usage. So mainly DataSphere is used by the engineers, architecture, analytical teams to prepare harmonized model, define semantic models, prepare. As I said, like it is for modeling. So mainly used by the engineer, analytic teams to prepare their models for the reporting purpose. Under BDC, it can be used by business units, data teams who wants more ready-made data, because BDC already providing defined products. I mean, SAP is providing a data products which is a predefined products by SAP. So these business users can ready-madely can use it, and they can use the AML operations to perform their further analysis and all. So this is also covering the same thing again, products and pre-built content. SAP DataSphere is giving the content, like here also we have the content available for to install, but most of the places what we do, even the SAP given content is there in DataSphere, mostly clients will create their own models based upon their own business rules and all. But when it comes to BDC, 90% business users will use the SAP predefined data products for sure. On top of it, they do their own customization. Okay, na? like in BW, so SAP given predefined content. So we will install the predefined SAP content, but what we do, we don't use the same thing. We will copy it and then we do our own modifications as well, right? And some places we do always create our custom data. Some clients who are very complex clients, so they will create their own custom models. They never use the SAP standard ones because their entire business, model is different. So coming to the governance, so it is nothing but providing security to our data sets. Governed data models, semantic layer, metadata, intelligent applications more. You can what happens is in the data sphere, you have data models availability, but if you want to perform AML operations, you don't have anything readily available in data sphere itself. Okay, now you need to extract the data into separate data bricks using outbound connectivity, and then after extracting it to it, you need to perform your AML operations. Or in the SAP Analytics Cloud, also you can do some predictive analytics kind of operations, but not that extent. But yeah, compared to the other third-party tools. But in the BDC, since the Databricks AML functionality is already predefined, ready-made, already coming with the BDC, BDC license, so you can perform all such activities at one place. No need to go for any other different tool. So modernization and migration paths. So organizations who wants their reporting layer to be built, then they generally go for DataSphere. But BDC is positioned not just as a data platform. Next evolution, so where we can cloud data and analytics data products. Okay, no? It offers more paths for existing BW DataSphere SSC customers to move into managed unified. So it means actually BDC. When exactly we go for BDC? So if already customer is having BW, okay, na BW S4HANA, and they are using different tools for their AML capabilities. So instead of going for a different tool, what they can do, simply they're buying the BDC license. They can bring their BW data into DataSphere, and they can connect their, by using the SAP available product data products. It is an advantage for them to ready-made use the products are there. And also the AML capabilities are also coming along with this. So instead of buying separate licenses from different vendors, so one BDC license can provide, can satisfy all their needs, I can say. So flexibility towards pre-built managed. This is also talking about, business content and the data products. So when coming to the SAP DataSphere architecture, so what is happening here? In the architecture, we have connectivity layer, data layer, modeling, governance, and consumption. So these are the five, pillars in our DataSphere architecture. So I already discussed all these five in the starting slide itself, where we are talking about the DataSphere architecture. Okay, but just a recap of what I said there. So connectivity. So when it comes to DataSphere, first initially we inject data from different sources into DataSphere using the federation or the replication process. Okay, so we can connect to SAP, non-SAP. So the same thing I already explained in the previous sessions, previous slides. We can get data from different sources, SAP, non-SAP, and we can bring data into DataSphere. So what we can say, this is a hub for all enterprise data. And data layer. So once data is available in the data sphere, then what will happen? We persist the data or virtual access. It means after connectivity established, connectivity actually giving you a path. It's like giving a path connection between source system and your data sphere. But once the connection is established successfully, then the next action is, so using this connection, are you extracting and storing data in the data sphere, or are you virtually accessing the data from the source system? These are the two options you are having. Okay, na? So persistent storage means when data is physically loaded and replicated into DataSphere HANA-DB, and virtual access means at a runtime, whenever you run the SAC dashboard like that, it goes to the source system and extracts data from there. So you can bring or leave it in the source system. So using virtual access, what exactly happening is you don't need any too much HANA storage in the DataSphere. Only computation is required. We can talk about this in the estimator as well in detail. So modeling and semantic layer. So once, for example, you replicated data from source systems into DataSphere. So once it is, persisted in the DataSphere, then what we do the ETL, like as part of ETL, extraction is over, then we do the transformations, right? So it comes as the transformation here. We will model the data by creating joins, transformations, creating new business KPIs, developing our hierarchies or extracting hierarchies from source system. All these we do here. Okay, na? And the spaces also I explained, right? Logical work areas for teams. So for finance, we can create a separate space. For sales, we can create a separate space. All these can be whenever we go to the space creation concept, I will explain you how to create a space and how it is restricted compare between the spaces. So if I create a space, then space level, if I create a connection to one space, then that connection is not available for the another space. So if I want a connection, I need to create connections for each space separately. So all these concepts will be covered when we go to the technical details of the space creation concept. But at a high level today, just giving a high level overview about DataSphere and what are the functionalities and use case it is having. Governance and security also, like I said, right, in DataSphere also we can create role-based accesses, and also we can by providing different spaces, different user access, we can we can restrict the data. And audit trails, for example, what happen is we can create audit also on our space. If we enable audit on your space, then it will store whatever happening on the space. We can verify it at a later point whenever needed. So ensures only the right people see the right data, provides trust and compliance. So by dividing our data into multiple places, we can govern the data so that non-required people doesn't have access to the data set. So consumption layer means nothing but SAC. So for DataSphere, the most tightly integrated part here is the SAC tool. So SAC is a very powerful tool, right? As you know, there we can do the dashboarding, planning, and analytics, all can be done. So once we have data available in DataSphere, you can perform all these operations seamlessly using the models available in the DataSphere. And not only SAC, for example, if the client is interested in Power BI or Tabula, ClickView, or like that, they also can extract data from our DataSphere. But there are some restrictions here, like how much data they can extract. It's all cost to the client. Those things are taken into consideration while into having some third-party reporting tools. And to perform the AML operations also, the DataSphere can be connected to those tools to perform the AML operations. Okay. So now coming to the inbound. So far what we said is always data can be taken from SAP, non-SAP data, right? So now we are talking into that part. So what from whichever sources where I can bring data into DataSphere. So I can bring data from S4HANA, B4HANA, ECC, SuccessFactors, Ariba. All these are SAP sources. So when we go to the connections, when we go to the connections in DataSphere, for example, if I show you here, in the connection section, if I click on plus symbol, if I try to create a connection here, if I try to create a connection, you can see around how many are there. 35 different type of connections are there, which includes SAP, non-SAP, and partner tools. All these are available. So comes to SAP, I given only few there, but different connections, ABAP connection, cloud integration, SuccessFactors, field glass, Signava. So all these are available for the connectivity from SAP. And when coming to non-SAP, like Microsoft Azure, BigQuery, even the file service, Oracle, SFTP means file service, Azure Blob Storage, all these can be connected to our DataSphere to extract the data. And we have two partner tool servers like Adversity and Adverity and Precog. So these two are available as a partner tools. So what I mean to say here, so yes, we can bring data from non-SAP, SAP and partner tools into the DataSphere. And when come to non-SAP, here I mentioned about non-SAP data sources, but I already shown you there some of the examples I given here, like Oracle, SQL, DB, MySQL, and all these things. Even Data Lake and other apps here I mentioned just for information. Now outbound. So outbound systems. So once data is there in DataSphere, once modeling is done in DataSphere, now as I said, like we can give this data to outside for a dashboarding purpose or AML purpose, right? So now after preparing and modeling data in, we can share with the consumer different systems. So it can be shared by SAC seamlessly from DataSphere, and it can be shared with S4HANA Embed Analytics, can consume models from DataSphere, and other SAP apps like AML scenarios data products. And non-SAP consumers like BI tools, Power BI, Tableau can be connected to our DataSphere, and data and AI platforms like Databricks, Google Vertex, all these can be connected to DataSphere. And APIs, via APIs also we can connect to the DataSphere and perform operations and extract the data, and we can do it. Okay, so all this is possible by connecting to DataSphere. So far we talk about connectivity, and we talk about how replicating. So here exactly what we are talking about is when I am connecting to my source system, I am extracting data using federation replication process. So what are the technical mechanisms that involved behind this extraction? So one is the real-time data access with nothing but federation. So whenever we talk about federation, it means real-time access, okay, data access. So here what happens is that data is not copying into the DataSphere, it is just virtually accessing it. It is coming into DataSphere. So DataSphere doesn't copy the data, it creates a live connection to the source system. So queries are sent to the source system and results are shown in the DataSphere in real time. Like a select query goes to the source system, it extracts the data, and once on top of extracted data, the model, whatever views you created in the DataSphere will be performed, and it will be shown go for the reporting. So what else here? We need to think is, so it gives always up-to-date data and extra storage. So whenever I'm not storing the data in the DataSphere, means I don't need too much storage in the DataSphere. But every data I cannot go for real-time replication. For example, if I take AC Docker data, for some clients, there are millions of records are there in AC Docker. So for such kind of data things, if I go for real-time data replication, then the performance is very bad and the reports won't come as expected. So it is not always suggestible. Only for certain modules, data areas, we can go for real-time data replication. And next for the data replication. So data replication means extracting data from source and storing in the DataSphere. So actually this needs some storage. So when we are buying SAP DataSphere, we buy with some storage, right? So all these those comes into consideration here. So DataSphere copies data into its own storage. Here when I'm extracting data as a replication, means to store data in DataSphere, the technologies what I use here is the SAP SLT or ODP framework. Okay, so here it comes with a batch replication and real-time replication. So batch replication means in DataSphere, so when using the connection what you establish to source system, what you can do, you can establish a data load which runs regular intervals, like in BW how we create info packets and the schedule process chains. In the same way in a DataSphere also we can create remote tables, and we can schedule, or we can create data flows, and we can schedule those data flows to replicate data from source and store it in our DataSphere. And there is one more concept called change data capture. It means initially it loads data from source into DataSphere, and whenever any changes happening to the source, so for example a document was edited with some changes, then only that document will come into DataSphere. So it is nothing but a change data capture, which I have explained in the next slide. So the technologies for the data replication mechanism we are using are the SAP SLT and the operational data provisioning tool. So these two we are using for to bringing data into DataSphere. And coming to the change data capture, as I explained, whenever a records got changed, whenever a new record got added to our data set, then only such records will come into DataSphere. Means on day-to-day basis, I am not, bringing data, same data again and again. Because if I am trying to bring data again and again, same data, it is again costing, to the client, because it needs some computation power, and it needs some memory and everything. So instead of that, if I use this as CDC, it brings only the changed records, which helps business, to the client. So instead of copying full data set each time, data captures only the changes from the source system. It detects insert update. All these operations can be detected by the source, and it will do it. So often powered by SLTR connectors that provide CDC. Yeah. Model transfer means here what is happening is, for example, if you are using BW as a source to your data sphere, so instead of again extracting raw data from S4HANA or something like that, already pre-modeled data, you can again extract into data sphere and you can directly use it for the reporting purpose. Okay, na? So here the model transfer is mainly applicable for the B4HANA system, S4HANA with CDSUs. In S4 system, when you are trying to extract data from a CDSU, what you can do, so using CDSU also, you can model the data. It means all your business logic can be implemented at CDSU level only. So if your CDSU is a storing in on-premise, if your S4 system is an on-premise system, then what will happen is there you don't have any restriction about the memory and all, how much memory computation power needed. Nothing like that. So try to implement all your business logic in the CDSU itself, and this CDSU you can consume in the data sphere. Then it only acts as a data transfer from your on-premise into data sphere. So you already extracting the model data, you can directly consume it for the SAP Analytics Cloud as a reporting tool. And you have this data available for other reporting purposes as well. So this is about the model transfer. So summary, so we can bring data using federation, replication, change data capture, or using model transfer. So when it comes to federation, we use direct connection. When it comes to replication, we use SLT or ODP, and change data capture, mostly SLT, and model transfer, we use the BW bridge and CDSUs. So these are the different technologies and different kind of mechanisms we use to bring data from source systems into our data sphere. So now so for any questions, so the next section we are talking about the licensing part, and after explaining the licensing part, I will close for today. So any questions so far?
Yeah, so can we use, because most of the clients, they have reporting tools still using business objects. So can we consume the data sphere models in business objects or only SAC?
Data sphere objects in business objects. I need to check. I don't have idea. Connectivity part. Yeah.
Yeah, because most of the business users companies still with business objects for publishing reports and all those things. So if required. Okay, just
generally what happen is data sphere is having a DB connection. Okay, right. So in business objects also we can perform DB connections. So using DB connection, you can leverage the data into.
Okay. Okay, we'll see. Thanks.
Yeah, and using that we can do it.
Okay. And one more question is, like for example, most of the clients currently they are on BW. Okay, they are either on BW 7.4, BW on HANA, and some are on B4 HANA. Okay, so based on what will client move to, like migrate to data sphere? Like is it like mandatory to move, or like they, like based on what scenario will client take this decision that okay, we need to go to data, even though they have successfully using data BW, currently in their.
But this depends upon the licensing, right? Currently, the end of support for BW was already announced, and B4 HANA it is there for a longer period. So if they are having using B4 HANA, they can still survive with BW4 HANA for some next few years. But they are using BW 7.5 and all, because we are reaching near to end of support. Then those customers has to decide whether to go for to migrate their solution to B4 HANA, or they need to bring into the data sphere side. Yeah.
Okay. So I think maybe in the coming future, most of the clients will migrate to, they have to migrate to data sphere, right? BDC data sphere.
Yeah, better. So either data sphere or BDC. From 2026 onwards, mostly SAP suggests to take the BDC license instead of data sphere license alone. Yeah.
So I think then
data sphere,
then I think data sphere will be in demand. A lot of consultants should have this skill set for data sphere. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yes. Yeah. But when generally when we go to BDC, SAP is providing option as a lift and shift lift and shift thing for BW also in the BDC ecosystem. So in that case, what will happen is BW also will be there. Yeah.
Okay.
But DataSphere is also part of BDC, so it is having equal demand with BW.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions from anyone? Okay, so let's move into the next topic now, SAP licensing. So because when this is one of the part, many people needs information on this one, because DataSphere, yes, we can go into this help there, we can learn many things there. But coming to licensing, because whenever a user wants to do the POC, yeah, we do POC, but when we go for buying the SAP DataSphere license, we need to think many considerations. As a SAP DataSphere tool, it can perform many things. Whatever you are doing, modeling in B4HANA and everything, those are all will be possible in the DataSphere as well. So whatever we are doing in BW, most of the things are possible. I cannot say everything, because when it comes to complexity, we need to handle it accordingly, the complexity situations. But most of the things are possible in the DataSphere. So if the client wishes to go to DataSphere, then he needs to think about cost. So if I am using my on-premise landscape, how much cost I am having. So if I am going to DataSphere, then how much I am saving, how exactly it is going to useful. Or if they are using already another, some other non-SAP cloud tools, and if they wants to migrate into DataSphere, then also they need to check how exactly moving into DataSphere can reduce their costs. So all these comes into consideration. So we need to know how exactly we are going to derive, the cost for a client when they are taking the DataSphere license. What are the important points that comes into these aspects now we need to understand. So that's the reason here I am telling the licensing part as well, and trying to cover each and every component in the licensing part in detail. So let's go into this. So generally, when we go with the SAP licensing for this DataSphere, here the license will be done using the capacity units. SAP uses a metric called capacity units, CUs, to license DataSphere. Means when you buy a product, it is not selling just as a product, it is selling along with CUs, because it is a cloud. So we are using SAP service DataSphere from the cloud environment. So the hardware, everything is given by from the SAP using different hyperscalers. So you are using the hyperscaler provider infrastructure. Okay, na? So how much you are using is important. For example, what is happening is, if you have your own iPhone with own memory, then how much you are storing, everything, it's up to you. But whenever you go for iCloud storage, then whenever your cloud storage is done, then you need to go for upgrade, right? And if you are not doing it, you will downgrade it also according to your usage. So similar kind of a functionality here also, means because the memory is given by, for example, memory is given by the hyperscaler providers here. So what will happen is how much memory you are consuming, how much computation power you need, in memory you need, or computation power you are consuming. Based upon all these things, SAP is giving cost to you. So for example, in your iCloud, for example, for an iPhone iCloud storage, or a Google, Android phone Google storage, if you buy a 2 terabyte memory capacity plan, and if you are using only 500 GB, it doesn't makes okay, you need to pay for the 2 terabyte cost. That's it, because you've taken the plan for that one. Even though you are using or not using, you have to pay for the same plan. In the same way, here also what happen is when here the license is with respect of capacity units, and you need to buy a plan. So once you buy a plan, even your data, whatever client's data is too below to the whatever license you bought, so you need to pay for it. So that's the reason when we are buying this DataSphere licenses, we need to calculate our capacity unit usage, and according to the capacity unit usage and forecasting, we need to buy a proper plan. So we are not supposed to buy too much unwantedly, and we are not supposed to buy less than our required one. So so calculating the capacity units before buying the SAP DataSphere license is a very critical point, I can say. So here capacity units, how exactly we need to define the capacity, how many capacity units I need for my client means it depends upon the how much computation power, how much storage you need, how much data lake usage you need, BW bridge you have it or not, data integration, crawling, cataloging, all these different concepts are you using or not in your client environment. You need to know all these things. Your business needs all these functionalities or not, you need to first think of it. Okay, so next, what are capacity units? So currency of SAP DataSphere licensing. Instead of paying per user, you pay for capacity. It means actually here, generally when we buy SAP license and all, they will buy with respect to the number of users also. For example, if you buy SAC license also, they will give these many number of admin users or planning users like that. But when it comes to DataSphere, the license is not with respect to users at all. The license is purely with respect to the capacity units. You can create n number of users in the DataSphere, but how it is affecting your CUs, you need to take care a little bit. Not a little bit, too much. You need to be very carefully take care of it, that part. So instead of paying per user, you pay for capacity, like compute plus storage plus integration. So think of a mobile data pack. You don't pay per phone, you pay for a bundle of GB. It means, so you are paying for how much consumption, how much CUs you are consuming. You are paying for how much CUs you are consuming, but not for the entire data packet. Yeah. So same with DataSphere. Let's go for the next slide, then you will understand it better. So when we are calculating our CUs, we are calculating the CUs with respect to different what categories. So core services, data lake storage, BW bridge storage, data integration, replication mechanism, metadata cataloging, volume, all these will be considered into consideration. This is the actually the SAP DataSphere unit estimator. So when before buying license, so the business has to go to this particular place and they need to estimate our. If you see here on the left hand side here, these are the hyperscalers currently available. Amazon Web Services, Azure or Google Cloud Platform. Any of these three you can select as your a hyperscaler. And once you selected this one, according to the hyperscaler, they written a message here, certain operations are not available in all regions of all hyperscalers. So based upon the region also, some functionalities are not available. That is what it is saying. So now when we calculate the CUs, here you see the estimated per hour, estimated per month, it is telling. So if you provide your inputs here, then automatically the CUs will be increased according to your inputs here. So what are the different categories that adds to your CUs means we have a separate category for storage, compute, bridge, data lake, data integration, cataloging, and premium outbound, elastic computation nodes, object storage, and object storage compute, and object store requests. So all these are different categories. For example, if you don't need object store at all, then you can ignore all these things. And whatever you need in your DataSphere licensing, and means how based upon the your business needs, you can select only the storage and computation power along with some data lake. Okay, no? And integration must be there for sure. And then cataloging, if you don't need cataloging, then you can ignore this one. And the premium outbound, if you want to move data from SAP DataSphere into outside world, then it comes under premium outbound. So how much data you are supposed to send from here to there, like that you are going to select it here. So all these will adds on to your CU. So once you have a CU estimator, then what will happen is at the end there it is providing plans for multiple 3, 6 something like that. It is providing the month plans, so you can buy plan accordingly. I can also show you the estimator link here. 1 second. Where is the estimator link? Just a second. So this is the SAP DataSphere capacity unit estimator. So here it is. For example, what it is saying, storage. So a storage block is comprised of 16 GB per disk storage. So it is doing currently 128. So by default, it is giving 8 blocks. So you see, I am not able to reduce it. So minimum is 8 blocks, and on top of it, you can increase it. So how much storage you need? So I need 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte data. For example, if I go for till 2 terabyte, so you see, whenever I'm increasing the blocks, automatically it is increasing my estimated per CU. So like this. So I can go till, for example, 2 terabyte, storage, and then compute. So computer is what exactly compute means here. So when you are, for example, when you are integrating, when at the time of extracting data, and after extracting data, you are performing transformations. Means you are creating a graphical view, you are creating a data flow. So when you are creating a graphical view, you are not just creating it, right? It is performing some operations like join operation, like filtering operation, and some calculate operations. It is doing it. So when it is doing it, it needs some memory to perform this activity. So all this comes under computation. Storage is mainly the hard disk, how much memory you are, how much data you are having, that it comes under the storage, and the compute comes under the at runtime, how much memory you need to process it. For example, if I am taking AC Docker and trying to join with Material Master, then it is gone. Like so, all it is, when we are performing join, it will memory, backend memory. I need something, right? So all these I need to take into consideration here. So how much memory you are having? 32 GB currently it is giving, and when you increase your rotation memory, automatically it increase your CUs also here. So you need to think of how much memory you have, and then these two are mandatory for anywhere, but remaining all are as part of our business requirement. So BW bridge. So I written something here for the BW bridge and all, why we need it and how exactly it helps. Okay, so coming back to here, because we needed information when exactly we go for BW bridge here. So BW bridge in the capacity unit estimator. So BW bridge stores and processes some data inside the data sphere tenant. So when exactly BW bridge, actually it is connecting data from our on-premise into the data sphere at the time of migration. So now BW also extracting data from our source systems. It is storing. For example, in your BW bridge, if you have some regular data loads are there from source systems, then what is happening? You are performing some activities within the BW bridge, right? Like performing data loads and all. So to perform this BW bridge is a part of your data sphere. So it is doing some computation there. So this uses a storage CUs for persisting BW data, and for running queries and transformations also it needs some computation CUs. And by selecting BW bridge in the estimator, you can simulate how much storage capacity. So based upon your BW, how much data you are trying to store on BW bridge, because when you take data sphere, you have an option to connect directly to source system S4HANA, for example, or you can bring S4 data into connecting into BW bridge, and then you are extracting data into your BW bridge side. Both ways it is possible. So in which way, where exactly you are trying to store data? It is not to extract data from S4 to data sphere directly, and also from the BW bridge. It's again a duplication of data, right? So you need to think of what data you want it via BW, and which data you want directly from S4 to data sphere. All you need to think, and then you need to provide your estimates on the BW bridge side. Similarly, the next one is data lake. So data lake is also component in your estimator. So what exactly data lake is? SAP HANA database is a costly database. Okay, now because SAP HANA is a in-memory storage, it is super fast, good for active or analytical data, because it is a costly, and as well as super fast. Because of super fast, it is costly. And when it comes to data lake, it is an extension of SAP data sphere storage that is optimized for handling very large volumes of data. Because the HANA is a in-memory and very costly, and business is always having huge amount of data for sure, right? But some of the data they can move into data lake, because data lake is a bit cheaper compared to the HANA in-memory. Okay, na? So it is based on the HANA Cloud Data Lake IQ technology under the hook, something like this. So data lake is also part of your SAP DataSphere storage in place. So when you try to store your data in the data lake, database, then obviously it saves some cost. Okay, so whichever historical data, such kind of data is there, you can push into the HANA data lake storage, and which is hard data which you are regularly using, that you can place in the HANA in memory. Cheaper, good for large and less frequently accessed data. Clearly mentioning HANA data lake storage is mainly used for the less frequently accessed data sets. So in the when considering the capacity unit estimator using data lake, so higher UC HANA storage takes higher CU consumption, and data lake storage is equal to lower CU consumption because it's a cheap. The whatever HANA you take na, even though it takes some CUs, the cost will be a little bit less compared to the HANA storage. And by choosing the HANA Data Lake Estimator, how much cheaper it will be. So you can compare between, by taking HANA, how much cost it is taking, and adding HANA Data Lake also to your, estimator, how much memory cost you can able to reduce. Now, you can think of while doing this estimator calculations. And the next one is data integration. So for data integration also separately we have a separate one. So like this data lake is over. Now data integration. So data integration is a crucial one here. Why? Because when SAP is doing data loads from S4 system, BW or ECC or any other non-SAP systems, it is performing some action, right? So for all these, for moving, replicating or transforming data from one to another, it always consumes it needs some computation power. Okay, so in DataSphere that includes loading data from SAP source systems, non-SAP source systems, and ETL operations, and exporting data out of DataSphere, even premium outbound. So this integration is playing a crucial role at the time of bringing data into DataSphere. At the same time, giving data from DataSphere into the outside. Like when Power BI is extracting data from DataSphere, then it comes under the exporting data category. So here what is happening is, so every GB of data moving are transformed, consumed capacity units. So so by the time of extracting data from source systems, it uses some CUs. So you need to think of so how much data. For example, if a customer is going for a DataSphere first time, then what is happening? Initially, he wants to load some initial snapshots into DataSphere. So he wants to load some full loads from source into DataSphere. And from there onwards, he will do the delta loads. So how much data I am going to bring? It is not good to bring entire historical data into DataSphere because it is if the client is from the very long back years in SAP, and if he tries to bring all data to DataSphere, then it costs a lot, for integration or from the storage point of view. So he needs to decide how much data I am going to bring into DataSphere for my real-time analytics and all. He need to think of it. So because every GB of data moving in or going out, it consumes some CUs. So things that count as data integration means initial load, copying a full data set into DataSphere, or change data capture. So change data capture means only the change in records will come. So generally what happens is in BW, we do full loads, right? So when we perform full loads, what will happen? It we do with selective full loads. So same data comes again and again and again and again. So when same thing happening in the DataSphere side, it's unnecessarily consuming extra CUs. So instead of that, if you can to handle with the change data capture, then you are consuming less CUs. That way it is okay like this. Even data flows, transformations. So once data is available within the DataSphere, if you are performing transformations, how much computation power it's needed, all this comes into consideration as part of integration also. And outbound means when sending data to outside also, some CUs it will happen, right? That part it is telling. So here there is an example given, for example, 200 GB of finance data from SAP. So I'm loading into the DataSphere, and every day 5 GB of data I am loading into DataSphere as part of delta loads. So it's a 150 GB per month. So I need to consider 200 GB initial load and 150 GB per month. So total 350 GB I need per month. Initially I need initially when taking considering the CU calculation. So this is about just an example there. Next, catalog. So catalog is also part of our estimator. If the business needs this, the catalog feature. So catalog is a data discovery and governance feature. So if it's like a Google search for your company's data. So from catalog, so what will happen is whatever data, because DataSphere is bringing all data, unified data from different places into DataSphere. So you have all the data. Now on this data, if you want to search something, then because cataloging give a proper indexing will be there. So you will get your inputs much faster. Okay, so there also we do some developments and all. Based on that, we will get all the information in detailed manner there. So in order to have the catalog future, you need to have some, it will consume some CUs. So if you need catalog future, then you need to opt for it, and then you need to consider how much CUs it will be consumed as part of your data thing. Premium outbound. So this is a very critical thing, and very carefully that we need to, estimate as part of our licensing. Why? Because once data is there in DataSphere, if you are using non-third-party tools as our reporting tools, then definitely they take your data into their system as a extract data from DataSphere for their Power BI reporting or ClickView reporting and all. So you need to estimate how much data per month I am going to give, to my going from DataSphere into these reporting tools. So that you need to be take care of, calculate on a based upon your current estimates, and accordingly you need to take your estimations for the premium outbound. For the premium outbound, generally SAP given different tiers here, tier 1, tier 2. So if I can click on this one, so till the certain GB, data was 140 GB, 160, 180, 200, till 200 GB, it comes under tier 1, and more than tier 2, tier 3, based upon the tiers, it will, cost accordingly. And then next one is elastic computation. I told you, right? Generally, when a program, if you take in a SAP systems, when you run a program, what will happen? It will system will allocate some memory to the program to execute. Whenever this memory is beyond, whenever the program is needs memory beyond the memory allocated, it will fail. Right. So generally what happen is in month-end queries and all, people generally what they do, they run queries. They run some SQL statements which are very expensive SQL statements. It will consume too much memory. So what will happen? System will go with failures. But when comes to this, cloud side, what will happen is by having this elastic computation modes, what will happen is whenever a huge request came from a client, from a business user on a report, what system will do is it will increase the memory, available memory capacity automatically as per the query. And whenever the query execution is completed, it will again comes to the standard one. Okay, so because it is expanding according to the requirements, we call it as an elastic here. Okay, na? Scale automatically depending on the demand. Okay, so this kind of separately this is there, so you need to understand when exactly you need it and how much you need it. So workload at peak times, data load integration jobs, query execution at month-end closure and all. In such cases, we need some, multiple business users will run multiple queries with huge data volumes. So we need to think about how many such users are there and how much volume of data they may process. So you need to monitor it carefully and, opt for this kind of functionality. So then object storage is the next one. So finally, the last part is the object storage. Again, here it comes as object storage and then compute and request. So all this part of the object storage, which is again, what kind of file storage. What is object storage? It's a low cost storage layer used in SAP DataSphere in memory or data lake. It mainly used for file based or unstructured, semi-structured data lake. Okay, na? So like flat files, data pipeline, staging areas, backups, and intermediate storage. So mainly we use this one for unstructured data, file-based data we use for object storage. So it is cheap compared to the HANA database, compared to the data lake. Object storage is much cheaper. So how much memory you need to store the, your data in the form of files? You need to like simply we can tell like we do archiving, right? In BW, we can consider this also in such way. Okay, so it's a cheaper, so we can move some of the data into this object storage, so that means we don't access this data too much. That is the first point. So cost, object storage is cheaper than HANA memory, but still consumes. But when you need this data, whatever your data that is there in the object store, if you are trying to consume the data, again it needs some, to perform the operations to extract the data or to perform operations on the data, it needs some CUs. So according to your frequency of accessing this data set, you need to calculate your values. So this is an example which I given. So how much, just an example. So compute. So means once data is there in the object store, then if you are trying to perform some operations on it, then it needs some computation power. So you need to select. So for storing a separate estimator, and once you have storage and how frequently you are accessing the data, and when accessing, what are the operations you are performing on the data. So that comes under the compute power. And there is one more called request. The request is actually how frequently you are accessing. So storage is for the space point of view, compute is the power, how processing it, and request is how many interactions you are doing with this data. So generally it's a kind of flat file, right? We don't perform too many operations, but you need to take into consideration. So simple example for this one was given here. So capacity estimator. Here, IoT, for example, if you are trying to store your IoT data in DataSphere, then this object store is the best place because it is a cheaper, and in IoT you have lots of data will be there. So you can easily store the lots of data in DataSphere using this object storage. But when you are performing operations on this data, you need to think of what kind of operations you are doing, like ETL, ELT operations, and how much queries, what are the queries you are running on this data set. You need to forecast your values according to that one. So these are all about the different components in your licensing part. Okay, capacity unit estimator, because based upon the capacity unit estimator, once you calculate your CUs, then you can buy a plan. It's a 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, like that. You can buy a plan. So initially you can buy a small plan, and then you can go for then you will analyze. So on day-to-day, with your day-to-day operations, you will keep an eye on your consumption CUs. So you will get to know, okay, how much CUs I am consuming on each side. Then accordingly, then you can readjust your plan according to the analysis you've done on your thing. For example, if you feel like these are not enough, you need more, then next time you can buy more CUs on that particular area. And anywhere, if you feel like you don't need that many CUs in that area, then you can decrease also. This operation. So you can, there is a CU monitor also there. So there you can perform this analysis. So apart from this one, so as part of licensing, what else you need to go? So it's the like a pay as you go. How much you use the CUs, that much you are paying it using this contract and all. There is also a tool, SAP DataSphere Estimator, I showed you just now, and contract duration also I shown you 3 to 36 months depending on region or renewable. So what else is there? So when coming to the license, by calculating all these different options in the CU calculation, we derive the price from there. So once we have the CUs, then we send it to SAP. They will provide the best prices. So cost varies significantly by region. So region by region, using the hyperscaler as well, the costs may vary. So whichever hyperscaler you're using, accordingly that costs will be applicable here. So the SAP provides the price upon request in many countries. So it is not directly, keeping the price also on the front. We need to request them, so they will send it to us according to our requirements. So transition to SAP BDC. So 2025-2026 SAP changing how SAC plus data is licensed. So currently SAP DataSphere license is different, SAC license is different, but from 2026 onwards, like that, SAP adopts into the BDC license, where it combines both SAP DataSphere and BDC together. When it is providing the licensing thing. So cost. So we already discussed all these points. So data volume, compute, data integration, BW bridge, all these will be taken into consideration, and how effectively you are using it, the costs also, will be taken accordingly only. So inbound, outbound also very important. So how much data you are extracting from different sources, and how much data you are sending into the third-party SAP systems also plays an important role in the cost estimator. Okay, so if when the point here is so yeah. what really matters. So more users don't directly increase the license cost. Means in SAP DataSphere we can create a n number of users, but the point here is workload those users generate. So if you're creating too many users and giving it to the users, and they each user they're trying to access the system. So when they try to access the system, it consumes CUs. So if you're creating more users and giving it to all the people, then unnecessarily they are creating CU consumption also. That's the reason, even though SAP DataSphere allows multiple users to create, but you need to be strict in terms of require how many number of users you are creating it, so that you can limit your CU consumption. Okay, and multi-tenant and multiple environments. So in DataSphere, we can have multiple tenants like dev, test, prod, different tenants we can buy, or within 1 or 2 tenants also we can handle development, quality and production both. So based upon the business requirement, we go with multiple tenants. So this also I will explain in a coming session. So each tenant has its own CU pool and user base. Okay, so users can create across them, but each tenant managed separately. So you need to take the licenses separately for each tenant. So there is no fixed one-time size fit all price. Cost depend on lot of what you plan to do in DataSphere. So that's it. Like DataSphere as a product, it is not the licensing. It is how many CUs you are consuming. Accordingly, it is giving the licensing to you. So when you are planning your SAP DataSphere license, you need to know how much data you are having, how often you do queries on SAP DataSphere, how frequently data is updated, how many users you will access the DataSphere. So by taking all this into consideration, you can you can estimate your CU consumption, and according to CU consumption, you can buy the proper plan. Okay, na? Over committing is a waste of money, and under committing it's a performance issue. So that's the reason estimators are very important. So best practice for the cost controls are federation. So by using live access, what will happen is you are extracting data at runtime into the DataSphere and displaying on the side. So you don't need too much storage capacity here, but at the same time, too many access to the source also consumes CU. That is also to be taken care. And if exporting, so when you are sending data to the third-party tools, then always send the filtered and aggregated data. So when you are sending data to Power BI, try to send data, aggregated data, and whichever data is needed only for the dashboarding. So don't go for in detailed data set. Try to aggregate it as much as possible, which satisfies the KPI needs. Okay, na? And deeper analysis can be done in the DataSphere side, and dashboarding simply at high level KPIs can be done in the Power BI side. So scheduled batch exports, so daily, weekly, instead of a continuous replication. So this is also according to the business requirement. We cannot make it generic here. So monitor CU consumption with a BTP cockpit or CU estimator. So you can monitor always your CU consumption, and according to the CU consumption, it will be done. So that's all for today. So this is the what I prepared for today for our session. So tomorrow we will continue the rest. Yeah. Any questions so far?
Yeah, thank you, Srinivas, for the great overview. So basically, while moving forward, we'll have access to the system like SAP provides SAC trial access, right? So will it provide DataSphere access also? We can log in and test.
Yeah, yes. You can get SAP DataSphere free trial access as well, and it is for 30 days. So you need to be careful. It is extra. I think based on usage also, it is doing it. Then once it is expired, I think again you can buy another, with different ID, you can get it again. But whatever you developed in the earlier one will be not there, but you can have access. Yeah. So using multiple IDs, you can create multiple trial accesses once expired the other one, like that.
Okay. Yeah. So the CUs which you were explaining all this. So as a part of DataSphere developer or consultant, we will work on this, or this is part of basis activity. What like estimator?
No, it's not a basis. we need to work on it sometimes, because whenever we do the POC here, because we work on the system, we know it, how many chains are running. Yeah, basis team also can give some inputs, but generally they will expect from the BW also how much, because we all can see what is happening in the BW system, right? So how
Correct.
many chains we are executing, how much data it is loading. Generally, if we go to our early watch report, in early watch report also you will get all these metrics, easily. Yeah.
Correct.
It gives some information about, all this, how much data extractions, at what times you have peak memory consumption. All this will be easily available at the early watch report. Yeah.
Okay. So does this DataSphere and SAC will come in one connection, or because I remember back in like couple of months, it used to offer DataSphere and SAC in single tenant.
Yes. Because what will happen is, for example, 1 minute. Yes, one connection is enough, because once you have model, for example, this is your DataSphere, okay, na? And I am in your data builder. So here I create some models. So what will happen? There is an option to switch into the SAC. So once I go to SAC, my SAP space will be shown under my SAC. Okay, so I can directly connect to my space and I can consume the analytical models from there. So when I try to create a story directly here, so when creating story, it will show all the available SAP spaces which are connected to this one.
Okay.
So for example, if I go here and if I go to add data, add new data, here existing models, what is it, from my data source, not from a data source, not source, model, from existing model.
Okay.
So when you go here, you see DataSphere. Under DataSphere, you can see the spaces here. So all the spaces, if both are on the same tenant, then automatically you will see those spaces. And you must have access. Your access, whatever space you have access, those will be displayed here, and automatically you can connect and you can select it, and you can get data from there. Yeah, analytical models. Yeah, like this.
Okay. So